Oh yeah. Hey everybody, Kyle from Flat Top Gaming. Welcome to part 3 of my video tutorial on how to use Fantasy Flight Games' Star Wars RPG's narrative dice system. If you've missed either part 1 or part 2, go ahead and watch those. In part 1 I talk about the different symbols on the die. On part 2 I talk about the dice themselves. And so in order to get a better idea of what's going on in this episode, you really should have a foundation that those 2 episodes set. So go view those and come back. I'll still be here when you get done. For everyone else that stuck around, let's get started. Now, unlike the other 2 videos, just showing you little pictures of things isn't quite going to cut it, because this time we actually want to look at the dice pool mechanic. How do we take all of these symbols and all of these die and mush them together into the dice pool mechanic that makes this system so powerful? So in order to do that, I'm going to have a little bit of help with me today. I'm going to have my collection of Star Wars dice. I'm also going to have a character sheet so that we can take a look at how these checks are made. So join me at the table below and let's see how they work. Okay, so the first part of the die pool mechanic is assembling the good dice that you need for your check. Now, on this particular character sheet, it automatically populated each of the different die that you need for the good side of your check. This character sheet is the form fillable sheet that you can find online. I'll try and put a link to it below in the description. And it's very convenient, especially for first-time users. But I want to walk you through the process of assembling the pools and how the character sheet came up with these different combinations. So for each skill on the character sheet, you have both a characteristic, which, as we were talking about in the last episode, is your general ability to do things. I apologize, the video is such poor quality and whatnot. Maybe I'll invest in a program to show you the character sheet on my computer screen one of these days. But you have characteristics for brawn, agility, intellect, cunning, willpower, and presence. And each of the skills on the character sheet is associated with each one of those. So I'm going to explain how to assemble the good side of the pool the same way that the core rulebook does. And then I'm going to explain it in my own words afterwards, because the way I don't quite like how the core book explains it, but you know what? We'll go with it anyways. So in order to set up your die pool, what you're going to do is compare the characteristic with the skill. And so let's take the top one. No, let's not do that one. Let's do... move my character down. Oh yes, I created this guy as an entry-level, first-level character, so most of his skills are not very well upgraded. But let's take a look at his medicine skill. This character is a human colonist doctor, and so his medicine skill is made up of his intellect and his ranks in medicine. So we look at the number that's in the characteristic and the number of ranks that the character has in the skill, a 4 and a 1. And we compare the two and we see which one is higher. For that skill, or for that number, excuse me, you take that many associated green die, which means for a 4, I actually have to go into my second pack, and we're going to pull out 4 green ability die. Now, according to the official description of how to use the die, you then look at the smaller number, in this case is a 1, and you replace that ability die with a yellow proficiency die. I don't like this method only because it involves adding die and taking them away, things like that. The way I do it, and it's basically the same thing, but it's look at the associated characteristic and the associated skill, which there it is, and you see which number is higher. 4, cool. You're going to be rolling 4 good die in this check. You look at the smaller number, that's how many proficiency die you have. Your bigger number, you fill in the rest with ability die. That is the good side of the pool. As you can see, the character sheet already filled out all of those for your general skills, your weapon skills, your knowledge skills. It's the exact same for all of them. Take your characteristic, take your ranks of training, add in that many proficiency die, and fill out with the higher number how many ability die you need. The second part of the die pool is your bad dice. Your bad dice are typically just situational. If you're in combat, it's the range that you have between you and your foe. If you're making a opposed check, it's the other character's good pool, but only in purples and reds. So, for example, if we were making a negotiation check using this doctor's skills, let's see, his negotiation is 2 greens. So we take our 2 greens, and let's say he's negotiating against a trained, skilled negotiator. He's going to then take, say the negotiator has 2 greens, 2 ability die, and a yellow proficiency die on their sheet. That's going to translate to 2 purple difficulty die and 1 red challenge die on your difficulty. If it's range, if you're making an attack on someone, then it's simply the range that you are between you and your opponent. So if you're at short range, it's 1 difficulty die. If it is medium range, it's 2. If you're at long range, it's going to be 3. And again, these are just straight difficulty. It's not difficulty upgraded with challenge, things like that, unless you want to throw in destiny points and whatnot. So, the second part of the check, add your difficulty. The third part of the dice pool is adding in your situational boost and setback die. So we've assembled our medicine check, and the character is at, say they're at 2 wounds, or they're at half their wounds, which according to the rules, half their wounds is an average difficulty check, so it's 2 purple die. But because of the combat still going around and mechanically threats developed from previous checks, now we come into the situation where we're actually getting a black setback die to this medicine check because of the stress. Conversely, there's cover, and one of your allies rolled enough advantage to give you a boost die. There's cover, or I don't know, use your imagination however you want to narratively add this in, but then you're going to add a boost die. So the third part of the check is adding your situational die, your boosts, and your setbacks. The fourth and final part of assembling your pool is determining whether or not you want to use destiny. Now, I'll explain in a different video exactly what destiny is, but in the short term, each person gets to choose whether or not they want to use it, and when they do, they're going to upgrade either the good side from a green to a yellow, an ability to a proficiency, or the difficulty from a purple difficulty to a red challenge. If there are no ability or difficulty die to upgrade, you simply add another ability or difficulty die. Let's go back to the table and take a look at what that really means for this particular check. Okay, so as of right now, we have our pools of our good dice, our bad dice, our situational dice. And now we're upgrading some of those depending on destiny points. We've got our destiny points here along the top. You can see we have 2 light side points and 2 dark side points. Now let's say that Dr. Kylo Drawn here wants to upgrade his die pool using destiny. What he's going to do is spend a destiny point, and when he spends the destiny point, it doesn't go away. Instead, what it actually does is flip over to a dark side point. And this shows the balance of the force. It never really goes away, it just changes side back and forth. So we spent our destiny point, one of those ability die is going to upgrade to a proficiency die. I, as the game master, say, okay, let's up the ante a little bit and make things a little more difficult. I'm also going to spend a destiny point, flipping it from the dark side to the light side. We're going to get rid of one of those difficulty die and upgrade it to a red challenge die. Once all of the die have been upgraded. You are now ready to make your check. One more point to make about destiny points is that you are only able to spend one destiny point per side per check. So it doesn't matter that in this situation we have 2 light side and 2 dark side. I can't spend 2 light side points to upgrade 2 die. No, doesn't matter how many light side points I have, I can only spend one of them. All right. Now, we have all of the ingredients necessary for our check. We have our good dice, our bad dice, our situational die, and we have spent our destiny points. Now we're ready to make our roll. Once we have the entire pool selected and assembled, we are now ready to roll the die. Uh-oh. Recognize that symbol? So let's figure out what happened, because there's a lot of symbols showing a lot of different things. So first and foremost, we want to figure out what cancels what. Because remember, when we're talking about successes and failures, as well as advantages and threats, things cancel out. Well, the easiest thing to do, we can get rid of the blank. We can take this advantage symbol here with this threat, and we can cancel that out. And let's change this just to a raw success. The despair, we're going to hold on to it, but the despair also counts as a failure. So we're going to negate it with this success. So now there's no failure there. There's still the despair, but no failure. I think that's all that cancels out in this particular check. So we are left with 4 successes, 2 threats, and a despair. Let's make another roll, just so we can get a different idea, and maybe we'll get a better idea of exactly how to cancel everything out. Alright, so here's our total pool. That's a good thing. So let's take this one step at a time. We have 2 advantages here. We have 2 threats here. Let's take both of those and get them out of the way. We have a blank. Get that out of the way. We have a threat, so let's cancel that threat out and remove that advantage. Now the triumph also counts as a success. So this failure cancels out the success portion of this triumph, which removed the failure. What we're left over with is no successes, but also no failures, 3 advantages, and a triumph. So that's it. That's how you assemble your pool. That's how you cancel out symbols. And now what do you take from there? What do you do next? Well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on how to interpret those pools. Both of those pools were quite interesting, combining both success with despair as well as failure with triumph. What I'm going to do is refer you to the Order 66 podcast. Not that I listen. I've never listened, wink. But the Order 66 podcast, episode 10, Triumphant Despair, is an entire episode on how to adjudicate some of these very interesting roles. So I'm going to leave that link in the description below. As you can see, when we were going and separating each of the symbols, it was really easy using the narrative dice themselves to just flip them over and remove the dice until we can see what exactly is left over. If you decide to use the table that's in the beginning of the book and roll your standard polyhedral dice and just try and interpret the numbers, that's fine. But I think it's going to be a little more difficult for you in order to figure out exactly what's going on. So this is why I really encourage you to purchase the dice. I know it's 15 bucks per pack, but guess what? The beginner box for all 3 systems, Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, Force and Destiny, includes a set of dice. In fact, that's where I got one of my 2 sets. The sets also include the destiny points, and they'll also have an introductory module that walks you through the rules and explains everything step by step and adds rules per encounter as you go. So it's an ability for the players and the game master to learn the system one step at a time. And the dice are about half or more of the cost of the entire box, so definitely go check those out if you really want to get into this system. That's all that I have. If you have any questions or comments on the dice mechanics, how they work in gameplay, please let me know. Go check out our live stream of the Star Wars Edge of the Empire Under a Black Sun. subscribe to this channel. Keep your eyes open for the live stream for Whispers of the Past. I don't have a date or time for when that is, and if you're watching this video a while from now, it's probably already posted. So go and check it out. Otherwise, I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Also, leave me any feedback in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, I love you too. Interrupt my video on how to make dice. I love you too. Yeah.